Right now, somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, a US aircraft carrier is moving through the waves, carrying weapons so advanced they can hit targets over 300 meters away before the enemy even knows what's happening. These aren't the weapons you see in movies. These are real cutting-edge systems that have been deployed in combat zones within the last year. 5 of these weapons are so powerful, they've changed the entire game of naval warfare. China knows about them, Russia knows about them, and they're terrified. Here's why. US Navy aircraft carriers have always been the backbone of American military power. But what makes them truly unstoppable isn't just their size or their nuclear reactors. It's what's hidden on their decks and inside their weapons bays. The technology has advanced so much in the past 2 years that what we thought was possible 5 years ago is now completely outdated. In 2025, the Navy deployed weapons that most people don't even know exist. These aren't experimental, they're operational right now. Mounted on fighter jets sitting on carrier decks in the South China Sea, the Mediterranean, and the Red Sea. These 5 weapons represent the most lethal firepower ever placed on a floating military base. And every single one of them is designed to keep America ahead of its enemies. If you think America still has the strongest military in the world, type proud in the comments below. Let's show our support for the men and women defending our freedom. Evolved Sea Sparrow Missile Block II. Next up is a weapon that doesn't get as much attention, but it's absolutely critical. The Evolved Sea Sparrow Missile, or ESSM Block II. This is a medium-range missile designed to intercept incoming threats that are still too far out for the RIM-116 to handle. The ESSM Block II has a range of about 30 m and can engage multiple types of targets, cruise missiles, aircraft, drones, it doesn't matter. This missile can handle. What makes the Block II version special is its active radar guidance. Older versions needed the ship's radar to guide them all the way to the target. The Block II can guide itself. That means the carrier can fire multiple missiles at different targets without overloading its radar systems. Carriers are equipped with Mk-29 launchers that can hold 8 ESSM missiles each. These launchers are strategically placed around the ship to provide 360 degrees coverage. If an anti-ship missile is coming in low over the water, the ESSM can drop down and intercept it just a few feet above the waves. That's called sea skimming mode, and it's designed specifically to counter modern Russian and Chinese cruise missiles that fly close to the surface to avoid radar detection. The ESSM Block II entered service in 2020, and it's now deployed across the entire NATO alliance. That means American carriers can integrate with Allied ships and share missile defense data in real time. If a European destroyer detects a threat, it can send that information to the carrier, and the carrier can fire an ESSM before the enemy even gets close. This kind of interoperability is something our enemies simply don't have. China and Russia operate alone. They don't have the trust or the technology to share data across multiple ships and platforms. We do, and that gives us a massive advantage. In live fire tests, the ESSM Block II has achieved a near-perfect success rate. We're talking about hitting targets 29 out of 30 times. That level of reliability is unmatched. And when you're defending a $13 billion aircraft carrier with 5,000 sailors on board, reliability is everything. FA-1-8EF Super Hornet Block III with advanced weapons. Finally, let's talk about the workhorse of carrier aviation, the F-18. EF Super Hornet, this jet has been the backbone of Navy air power for over 20 years. But the Block III version that's flying today is not the same jet that first entered service in the early 2000s. It's been completely upgraded with technology that rivals 5th generation fighters. The Block III Super Hornet has a new advanced cockpit display, upgraded radar, longer range fuel tanks, and reduced radar signature. But the real power comes from what it carries. In addition to the AIM-174B we talked about earlier, the Super Hornet can carry AIM-120D AMRAAM missiles, AIM-9X Sidewinders, and the Joint Strike Missile. The AIM-12D has a range of over 100 miles and uses advanced data link systems to receive targeting updates in flight. The AIM-9X is the most maneuverable air-to-air missile in the world. It can turn on a dime and track targets even if they're behind the launching aircraft. And the Joint Strike Missile is a stealthy cruise missile designed to hit ground targets and ships from over 180 m away. What makes these Super Hornets so valuable is its versatility. It can perform air-to-air combat, close air support, electronic warfare, and even aerial refueling. Some Super Hornets are configured purely as tankers to extend the range of other fighters. That means F-35s and other Super Hornets can fly farther and stay in the fight longer. In 2000, the Navy took delivery of 191 new F-35s. But the Super Hornet isn't going anywhere. The Navy plans to keep flying upgraded Block 3 models well into the 2040s. Why? Because they work. They're reliable, they're proven in combat, and pilots love flying them. During recent operations in the Red Sea, Super Hornets from the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower flew over 15,000 combat hours without a single loss. They shot down Houthi drones, struck ground targets, and provided air cover for Allied ships. That's the kind of combat-proven performance you can't get from a computer simulation. And here's something most people don't know. The Super Hornet is getting even better. The Navy is testing new conformal fuel tanks that will extend its range by 30%. New electronic warfare pods will give it even better jamming and detection capabilities, and integration with the MQ-25 Stingray drone refueler will allow it to operate hundreds of miles farther from the carrier than ever before. Our enemies are watching all of this, and they know they can't keep up. That's why they resort to propaganda and threats. But when it comes to actual capability, America is decades ahead. F-35C Lightning II with LRASM. Now, let's talk about something even more advanced. The F-35C Lightning II. You've probably heard of the F-35, but the C model is specifically designed for aircraft carriers. It's got bigger wings, a stronger landing gear, and a tailhook built for repeated carrier landings. But what makes it truly deadly isn't the plane itself, it's what it carries. In 2025, the Navy completed testing on the AGM-158C LRASM. That stands for Long Range Anti-Ship Missile. This is a stealth cruise missile designed to sink enemy warships from over 200 miles away. The F-35C can carry 2 of these externally or fit them inside its weapons bay when stealth is critical. Here's why that matters. The LRASM doesn't need GPS to find its target. It uses infrared sensors and an onboard computer to identify enemy ships even in the middle of electronic warfare. If the enemy tries to jam its signal, it doesn't care. It keeps going, and because it's launched from a stealth fighter, the enemy doesn't even know it's coming until it's too late. The USS George Washington just deployed with FF-35Cs carrying LRASM during the Talisman Sabre exercises in July 2025. That was the first time this combination was used in a live military exercise, with allies. Australia, the UK, and Japan all watched as American F-35s demonstrated the ability to hunt and destroy surface targets without ever being detected. But there's more. The F-35C isn't just a bomber, it's also a sensor platform. Its radar and infrared systems can detect enemy aircraft and ships long before they know the F-35 is there. It can then send that data to other fighters, destroyers, and even missiles in flight. That's called sensor fusion, and it turns every F-35 into a battle manager. China knows this. That's why they've been desperately trying to develop their own stealth fighters, but they're still years behind. The F-35C is already operational on 3 aircraft carriers right now. The US Carl Vinson, USS Abraham Lincoln, and US George Washington are all flying F-35Cs in the Pacific. That's a level of firepower that no other country can match. And the best part, the F-35 F-35C is getting even better. New upgrades coming in 2026 will allow it to carry 6 air-to-air missiles internally instead of 4. That's 50% more firepower without sacrificing stealth. The enemies of freedom should be very, very worried. Our IM-116 rolling airframe missile. Now, let's talk about defense. Because no matter how powerful your offensive weapons are, you have to be able to protect the carrier itself. That's where the RIM-116 rolling airframe missile comes in. This is the carrier's last line of defense against incoming missiles, and it's one of the most effective point defense systems ever built. Every US aircraft carrier, from the Nimitz class to the brand new Gerald R, Ford is equipped with at least 2 Mk-49 launchers. Each launcher holds 21 RIM-116 missiles. These aren't big missiles. They're small, lightweight, and incredibly fast. But what makes them special is how they work. The RIM-116 uses a dual-mode guidance system. First, it locks onto the radio signals coming from an incoming missile. Most anti-ship missiles emit a radar signal to track their target. The RIM-116 detects that signal and flies straight toward it. Then, in the final seconds before impact, it switches to infrared guidance. That means even if the enemy tries to jam the radar, the missile still hits, and here's the kicker. The RIM-116 rolls as it flies. That's why it's called the rolling airframe missile. The rolling motion allows it to use a simpler, lighter guidance system, which makes it faster and cheaper to produce. But don't let the cost fool you. This thing is lethal. In recent combat operations in the Red Sea, Navy ships equipped with RAI M16 systems successfully shot down multiple Housey drones and cruise missiles. The US Abraham Lincoln fired several of these missiles in the Pacific just last year during live fire drills. They work, and they work every single time. But carriers don't just rely on the RIM-116. They also have the Phalanx close-in weapon system. That's a radar-guided Gatling gun that fires 20 mm rounds at 4,500 rounds per minute. If a missile gets past the rim 11/16, the Phalanx shreds it to pieces. Together, these systems create a defensive bubble around the carrier that's almost impossible to penetrate. The Navy is now upgrading destroyers in the fleet to replace older Phalanx systems with even more RIM-116 launchers. That tells you how effective this weapon is. When you need to stop a supersonic anti-ship missile traveling at Mach 2, you want the RIM-116 on your side. Our sailors train with these systems constantly. They run drills, simulations, and live fire exercises to make sure that when the moment comes, they're ready. That kind of dedication and discipline is what keeps our carriers safe. And it's why no enemy has ever successfully sunk a US aircraft carrier in combat. Conclusion. So there you have it. 5 weapons that are operational right now on US aircraft carriers. The AIM-174B Gunslinger with its 300-mile reach, the F-35C Lightning II carrying stealth cruise missiles, the RIM-116 rolling airframe missile defending against incoming threats, the evolved Sea Sparrow missile providing layered defense, and the Super Hornet Block 3, the most versatile fighter jet on the planet. These aren't concept weapons. These aren't prototypes sitting in a lab somewhere. These are real systems mounted on real aircraft, deployed on real carriers, operating in real combat zones right now. The men and women of the US Navy train every single day to operate these systems. They run drills, they study, they prepare, and when the time comes, they execute flawlessly. That's what makes our military the best in the world. Not just the technology, but the people behind it. China can build all the carriers they want. Russia can threaten all they like, but they don't have what we have. They don't have the experience, the training, or the technology. And that's why America's aircraft carriers remain the most powerful weapons on the planet. If you found this information valuable, smash that like button and subscribe for more content like this. We cover the latest in military technology, defense strategy, and everything that keeps America strong. Don't miss out, stay proud, stay informed, and never forget the people who make this possible.